A unique characteristic of online shopping environments is that they allow vendors to create retail interfaces with highly interactive features. One desirable form of interactivity from a consumer perspective is the implementation of sophisticated tools to assist shoppers in their purchase decisions by customizing the electronic shopping environment to their individual preferences. Every morning, no matter how late he had been up, my father rose at 5:30, went to his study, wrote for a couple of hours, made us all breakfast, read the paper with my mother, and then went back to work for the rest of the morning. Many years passed before I realized that he did this by choice, for a living, and that he was not unemployed or mentally ill. This country might possess a sizable rural population, but have an economic system in which the interests of the voters were predominantly related to their incomes, not to their occupations or location. And in such a country, the political system would be unlikely to include an important agrarian party. The purpose of the informative speech is to provide interesting, useful, and unique information to your audience. By dedicating yourself to the goals of providing information and appealing to your audience, you can take a positive step towards succeeding in your efforts as an informative speaker. Companies will want to be known not just for the financial results they generate, but equally for the imprint they leave on society as a whole. First, ensuring that their products contribute positively. Second, operating in a way that approaches a net neutral impact on the natural environment. And third, cherishing their people. Scientists studying brain scans of people who were asked to come up with inventive uses for everyday objects found a specific pattern of connectivity that correlated with the most creative responses. Researchers were then able to use that pattern to predict how creative other people's responses would be based on their connections in this network. Human activities are exposing us rivers and streams to a cocktail of salts, with consequences for infrastructure and drinking water supplies. So reports a new study that is the first to assess the combined, long-term changes in freshwater salinity and alkalization across the country. We've been training fewer teachers in recent years while the population has been increasing, and a very large cohort of teachers, the baby boomer teachers, are nearing retirement. So all three of those things have converged to create what I think is going to be an even greater problem in coming years to what it is now. So we've got a lot of work to do, a very rapid catch-up. It isn't rare for private equity houses to hire grads fresh out of business school, he said, but 9 times out of 10, the students who nab these jobs are the ones who had private equity experience under their belt before even starting their MBA program. For any marketing course that requires the development of a marketing plan, such as marketing management, marketing strategy and segmentation support marketing, This is the only planning handbook that guides students through the step-by-step creation of a customized marketing plan while offering commercial software to aid in the process. The semiconductor industry has been able to improve the performance of electronic systems for more than 4 decades by making ever smaller devices. However, this approach will soon encounter both scientific and technical limits, which is why the industry is exploring a number of alternative device technologies. Scientific studies show that by age 3 there is a gap in brain development between kids who read aloud and those who do not, and children from low-income families are disproportionately impacted by this gap. Making sure all parents know the importance of reading aloud to their children is critical to closing the achievement gap. Hundreds of millions of American people eat fast food every day without giving it too much thought, unaware of the subtle and not-so-subtle ramifications of their purchases. They just grab their tray off the counter, find a table, take a seat, unwrap the paper, In digging, the whole experience is transitory and soon forgotten. This year, the National Environmental Science Competition received excellent undergraduate and postgraduate entries from all across the country with a wide range of projects. We are delighted that our awards are encouraging exciting and valuable projects that go beyond research and analysis to develop solutions for a number of key problems. Information about the shortlisted projects will be posted on our website in the first week of June. Perhaps the most measurable benefit of the program has been the opportunity to meet in small groups, something that is difficult to arrange in such a desperate organization. Many officers would have to work together for 30 years but would not know other strengths and weaknesses.
In this course, we will explore how such things as department stores, nationally advertised brand name goods, Mass-produced cars and suburbs transformed the American economy, society, and politics. The course is organized both thematically and chronologically. Each period deals with a new development in the history of consumer culture.
Experts discuss the significance of attending the theatre as a civic occasion, associated with the political and cultural achievements of Athens. Through archaeology and analysis of contemporary art forms such as decoration on pottery, a picture is built up of ancient Greek theatre. Members of a culture must conform to its norms for the culture to exist and function. Hence, members must want to conform and obey rules. They first must internalize the social norms and values that dictate what is normal for the culture. Then they must socialize or teach norms and values to their children.
Expression became important during the Romantic movement, with artwork expressing a definite feeling, as in the sublime or dramatic. Audience response was important, for the artwork was intended to evoke an emotional response. This definition holds true today as artists look to connect with and evoke responses from their viewers.
We seek to improve learners' experience of education at college and help them to aspire, achieve and progress. We must embed equality and diversity in everything we do, both as a provider and an employer. We hope to prepare our students for work, higher education and citizenship by equipping our staff with the skills to meet this agenda.
The natural environment can be hazardous, and with increased travel and leisure, people today are more likely than ever to be exposed to potentially life-threatening conditions. Although the human body can adjust to some extent, it cannot cope with poisons or prolonged exposure to extremes of environment.
In the late 16th and 17th centuries, many English, French, and Dutch immigrants went to North America in search of gold and silver, but they did not find it. Instead, settlers were forced to support themselves by cultivating crops that they could sell in Europe, like tobacco, indigo, and rice.
We believe in the inherent value of research in the humanities and social sciences, and our research data agenda is given by the pursuit of new knowledge that will be of benefit of Australia and the world. We offer one of the most comprehensive programs in the humanities and social sciences in Australia and the Asian Pacific region. Vitamin D deficiency linked to premature death. Over a 14-year follow-up period, researchers found that the risk for death significantly decreased with increased vitamin D concentrations, with the strongest effects seen among those with severe deficiencies.
Belief that the COVID-19 pandemic was a hoax, that its severity was exaggerated, or that the virus was deliberately released for sinister reasons functions as a gateway to believing in conspiracy theories generally. In study, pandemic skeptics were more likely to believe in 2020 election fraud.
There were two types of soldier in the Roman army, the Roman legionary and the auxiliaries. The legionaries were the very best soldiers and the auxiliaries were actually non-Roman citizens. Legionaries wore an undershirt made of linen and a woolen tunic. The linen helped the soldiers to stay cool while the wool helped to trap heat, keeping the soldiers warm.
Domestic cats, though, are largely indoor hunt less than outdoor cats because they don't have access to mice. In the wild, feral kittens are taught how to kill prey by their mothers. Domestic cats often fail to learn this skill, which is why you will see them playing with anything they catch, or they may bring the mouse to you to kill.
More than half of cow feed is actually grass, and farmers call it hay and silage. While people often think dairy cows are fed a high-grain diet, in reality they eat the leaves and stems from corn, wheat and oats far more often than they are eating grain, like corn kernels.
The bone density test is painless and quick. It estimates how dense or thick your bones are by using X-rays. The X-rays measure how much calcium and minerals are in a part of your bone. The more minerals you have, the better, which means your bones are stronger, denser, and less likely to break.
Coffee is a beloved beverage known for its ability to fine-tune your focus and boost your energy levels. In fact, many people depend on their daily cup of coffee when they wake up to get their day started on the right foot. In addition to its energizing effects, coffee has been linked to a long list of potential health benefits, giving you more reasons to get brewing.
The body uses glucose as its main source of energy. Glucose comes from foods that contain carbohydrates, which is released and absorbed into the bloodstream after food is digested. The glucose in the bloodstream needs to move into body tissues so that cells can use it for energy. Excess glucose is also stored in the liver or converted to fat.
The sea breeze is one of the most frequently occurring small-scale weather systems. It results from the unequal sensible heat flux of the lower atmosphere over adjacent solar-heated land and water masses. Owing to the large thermal inertia of a water body, during daytime the air temperature changes little over the water while over land the air mass warms.
New York, North Carolina, and lower some of the intended destinations of cancelled flights that were supposed to leave from Southern California. Those areas are in the path of a winter storm that covered some neighborhoods with over a foot of snow and drenched others with freezing rain on Monday.
During the Archean, methane droplets in the air shrouded the young Earth in a global haze. There was no oxygen gas on Earth. Oxygen was only in compounds such as water. Complex chemical reactions in the young oceans transformed carbon-containing molecules into simple, living cells that did not need oxygen to live. Instead, they made energy out of sulfur and other elements.
Although typically grown as a cash grain, winter wheaten provide most of the cover crop benefits of other cereal crops, as well as a grazing option prior to spring tiller elongation. Wheat also is slower to mature than some cereals, so there is no rush to kill it early in spring and risk compacting soil in wet conditions.
Biodegradable polymers have been used as carriers in drug delivery systems for more than decades. Early work used crude natural materials for particle fabrication, whereas more recent work has utilized synthetic polymers. The commercial success of these polymers has led to further research in the field aimed at bringing forward new formulation types for improved delivery of various small molecule and biologic drugs.
To thrive, cities must lean on nature. That means having open green spaces and interconnected waterways to prevent floods, green roofs and walls that reduce temperatures and produce food, and forests planted as green belts to oxygenate urban areas and regenerate ecosystems.
The outsized influence of rich countries on paleontology could lead to a warped view of life's history. The researchers say. Researchers studying large-scale trends in paleontology using resources are keenly aware that the fossil record is biased in myriad ways, including the age and type of rock in which fossils survive. But little consideration is given to the biases of the collectors themselves. A solar fuels generation research program is focused on hydrogen production by means of reactive metal water splitting in a cyclic iron-based redox process. Iron-based oxides are explored as an intermediary reactive material to dissociate water molecules at significantly reduced thermal energies.
A crew of scientists voyaged by ship from the southern tip of Chile into the frigid Antarctic to search for clues to one of the great unknowns of climate change. They plan to crisscross a remote patch of sea near the spot where, a year earlier, another crew had injected a tankful of an inert chemical 1 mile below the surface.
The mathematical language for talking about connections, which usually depends on networks, vertices, and edges, has been an invaluable way to model real-world phenomena. But a few decades ago, the emergence of giant data sets forced researchers to expand their toolboxes and, at the same time, gave them sprawling sandboxes to apply new mathematical insights.
Over the past 5 years, through studies of the simplest conceivable clocks, the researchers have discovered the fundamental limits of timekeeping. They've mapped out new relationships between accuracy, information, complexity, energy, and entropy. The quantity whose incessant rise in the universe is closely associated with the arrow of time.